Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me on another Stash Bash Take 10. This is going to be my second layout using my maze kit, and this is the sketch I'm going to be using. So I saw Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life use this in the very beginning of her series that she does once a year where it's 30 sketches, and I really liked it. And so I talked to Megan and Shannon about it, and then when I saw Shannon make it, I was like, I have got to use this sketch. It's such a cool looking sketch. I love sketches. It's a great jumping off point. So I'm going to apologize ahead of time, and that is because a part of this clip was corrupted, and whenever it's corrupted it won't upload to YouTube. And so it's just me trying to pick out what pattern paper I wanted to use in my kit with the photos that I was going to use today. And I realized in my kit that the background choices that I had, I didn't like. Well, actually, let me back up. They were all pink, which I loved, but the photos had a lot of pink in them. And so once I placed them on there, it kind of got lost on the pattern paper. And what I was trying to say earlier about not liking is I like background papers to be very subtle. So I try to look for ones with solid colors and a small print, so that way it's pleasing to the eye, it's not distracting whatsoever. And so I only had a few choices, which happened to be all pink. And so when I realized that that wasn't going to work, I had to change my decision on what I was going to do with my layout. So I grabbed some white cardstock, and then I just looked at my kit and I thought, you know what, I have yet to use my gelatos. And I know a couple of you left a comment saying you're excited to see what I was going to do with gelatos. And I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't used them in a year. So I probably should have watched some videos like how to use them. Because the first thing I did was take a scratch piece of paper, and I kind of just drew like squiggly lines and stuff. And I thought, ooh, I don't like the look of it. I don't like the texture. I don't like how it was very vibrant. And so I thought, okay, what am I going to do? Because I definitely wanted to use gelatos for you guys. And that's when I thought, you know what, the packaging technique. I love the packaging technique with any kind of mixed media because it is supposed to be imperfect and it's supposed to be messy, and there's nothing that has to look perfect on it, is what I'm trying to say. And so once I did that, the packaging technique, you do have to use gesso. And with gesso, I will say that it does take 24 hours to dry to get the best results. Now, I'm doing this today. It's Sunday, tomorrow's Monday, and I needed to get this video up for you guys, so I didn't have enough time to let it dry. And what made it worse is it's raining out today. So the air is damp, it's very cold, and I let this sit for at least an hour, and I came back to it and it was still soaking wet. So I took my heat gun to it. That didn't really work. As you can see, it looked like the paper was going to tear. It was very damp in certain areas, and whenever I added the gesso and the water, or not the gesso, the gelatos and the water, it was going right through it. Like the gesso did not have time to, dry completely, so it wouldn't soak through. And as I was putting down the colors, I realized that they just weren't vibrant enough, which is funny because when I first was kind of playing around with them, I thought they were too vibrant. So I did add a little bit to the cardstock. And when I did that, because like I said, things weren't dry, it left a very gritty texture. And I have to say, I really liked that. It was very distressed looking. Just even the way that the paper kind of dried in the end was very, I want to say like almost like sandpaper, but it's not sandpaper. It's just torn look, I want to say. And after that, I then took my Cropper Hopper. It's like a sticker album. That thing weighs like 5 pounds. Anybody still has that? I do. And I use it solely just for placing the weight, the binder onto things that need to dry flat. And it's usually for my mixed media. Now next I took my photos and I wanted to mat them. So I took some old mixed media background papers that I didn't end up liking, and I just turned them over and end up using those. And here's a perfect example of my scrapbooking kind of changing a little bit. I used to be such a perfectionist where I needed to have my papers completely in one solid cut. I mean, there could be no seams, no nothing. And, you know, I look back on that background paper that I did, and you can see the crinkle of it. That used to bother me a long time ago. It doesn't bother me anymore. And then I had this scrap piece of paper from my 6x6 paper pad that I must have used at one point from the Cute Girl paper pad. And that is that black and white print that you see on there. And you know, it's only 6x6 and I need it to be 12x12. So I just cut it in half, and I'm just going to stack them on top of each other. There is going to be a seam, and I'm okay with that. And then I took that leftover multicolored pattern paper that you see from the first layout. I hole punched it, or not hole punched it, but I used one of my punches, and I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to cover that up. And Jen Scow was doing a lot of layering there for a while, where she was just taking a whole bunch of her scraps, whether they had punches in it, and she was just layering that. And I like that because you could see the different cuts, and it just, to me, is very artsy, messy, and I'm liking that. So I'm going with it right now for, you know, the time being that I'm into it. And yeah, even the white border that goes around those photos have a little bit of distress to them, a little bit of imperfection. And what I mean by that is because they were mixed media backgrounds that I had done and I didn't like, for whatever reason, they just didn't turn out. I know that the one that I used, the white cardstock, actually had leftover paint on the other side. So somehow on the other side it got some mixed media, and I'm going to leave that. So it's not even a true crisp white background going around those photos. Now next in the sketch, there was a circle element. Now one thing about sketches is they put shapes there for you. It doesn't have to necessarily be a circle. It could be ephemera. It could be anything. It could be a heart, triangle. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just saying right there something should be. And I decided to go with the sketch. I made a circle using, you know, a modeling paste jar, and then I put little stitch holes in it so I could stitch it, and I took some thread. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my kit, especially if you watched that video when I made the kit. There are a few things that I ended up on this layout pulling out and replacing, because my whole idea of this whole Stash Bash Take 10 was grabbing 10 items. And one of my items was wood veneer. Well, I'm working on my second layout. I only have one more layout till this kit's gone, and I move on to my June kit. And I realized that I had yet to use wood veneers. So I replaced my wood veneers with thread, because I used thread in the first layout and I'm using it here again on this second layout. And then I also had enamel dots that I have yet to use. And so I decided to replace the enamel dots with brads. And you'll see that here in a few minutes. So now I'm working on my triangles, and Shannon, if you were watching, I watched your video, I'm not kidding you, at least 10 times trying to figure out how you made your triangles, because you did it so effortlessly. And so I attempt, and then I thought, I'm just going to destroy this paper. And so what I decided to do instead was just kind of take a strip, cut it down, and then angle it a certain way, and then flip it over, because there was that pink background paper that I wanted to use as well, and make another triangle out of it. And it turned out okay. Definitely not as good as yours, but you know what, it's gonna work. And in the end, when I put my photos down, you actually can't even tell that they're triangles, but whatever. It's just there to add, you know, different variety of paper and interest to the eye. So all right, so now I'm stacking up my photos, and I'm trying to figure out, I actually like how it is right there, how you got the little peak of the pink. But when I go to put down the photos again, I actually cover it up. And that's because I'm trying to make sure where I didn't stitch on the top circle, that one photo covers it. And I think it was just the way of the distance or the angles that I had everything, and had to have it that way, that it ends up being you don't get to see it, the pattern papers on the bottom, which is, I'm okay with that. All right, so I'm placing everything. I think I'm gluing everything down, and then I'm going to I grabbed some labels. Those are from my kit that I made from Dear Lizzie. And then I grabbed some epoxy stickers, and I thought about using the scallop. And you know what? I didn't at first, because they're actually not going to go on at all. but I did it because they were very shiny, and I don't know, at that moment everything was kind of, while I had some shine on my background paper using some glimmer mist, because I do use my glimmer mist like crazy anytime I do mixed media, because it just adds shimmer to whatever I use if there's no shimmer in the product. I just thought I didn't like the shine of it. So I ended up moving on, and that's when I grabbed these brads. Now, I am a huge brad lover, and I'm noticing a change in the scrapbooking industry. Janet, if you're watching, please tell me you are seeing it too, because I know you're a huge brad lover like me. I'm noticing that there's no more wood veneers, there's no more brads. I went to scrapbook.com, and the only company that I'm noticing that makes them is Echo Park, and if I am wrong, please comment below. But I don't see them with the newer collections. I'm noticing that scrapbooking industry now is kind of going towards more of paper as most of their collection, meaning ephemera, stickers, cardstock, or pattern paper, and everything that's made is from paper. So I kind of bummed out about that, because that is one thing I love about scrapbooking, is having that variety, having all these very different textures on your paper. And so I'm going to be hoarding these for a while. Even though I'm supposed to be stash bashing, but I'm going to be hoarding my brads for a while. But I do end up using quite a few. And then I go back to the epoxy sticker, and I'm going to start working on the title. And my title was originally going to be School's Out for the Summer, because this is literally right after my kids get out of school. There is a water balloon flight that they have, and it's just a great way for them to kick off the summer. But I didn't want to have to go back into my scrapbooking room, my inventory, and pull out a whole bunch of different letters, you know, that I wanted to use. I wanted to use what was in my kit already. And so I had some black foam thickers that I had already, and then I had also this epoxy stickers, and one of them said, or one of the words said was hello. And so I definitely wanted to use that epoxy sticker and get it as close as I could to my original thought for my title, and that is just going to be Hello Summer. Now, going on the sticker sheet, there was some phrases that I really liked, and so I just kind of used those as well, and I'm going to pop them up on the end with some foam adhesive. And then what do I do next? Oh, the chipboard. I looked at my chipboard and I grabbed my ephemera, because I have yet to use ephemera, and that is something I'm noticing when I scrapbook. I don't grab ephemera. I don't know why. So I made myself, I'm like, find a couple, Desiree, that you can use. And so I did. And then the chipboard, there was a heart that said sweet, and I'm going to end up using that. You won't see that while I'm working on my layout, but in the close-ups I do use that, because of the word summer was kind of heavy on the top, and so I needed to weigh that, kind of balance it to even the weight. And so I'll place the heart on the bottom left. And then I'm just going to kind of fidget around with the position of the label, and that's it, guys. You'll see me add a couple of pieces, like I said, from the ephemera pack, add another brad, and I'm going to call this layout done. Actually, I have a little bit of time left. I didn't realize. But I'm just going to kind of fidget with everything. I'm going to try to figure out where I want the title. Do I want to place it up? And I am going to place it up. I am going to apologize right now. You are going to see a little bit of shadowing up at the top of this, and that is because I do get interrupted by my little ones a lot, and I have my phone on how I film. I have it up on top, and if I don't set it just right, there will be that shadow, so I do apologize. Now, with that tag that I grabbed from the ephemera, I did cut out the word that all my love, because I will use that later on, and I didn't want to waste it, knowing that it was just going to be covered up by a photo. So I cut that part out, added some twine, and I'm going to place that label at the bottom. I am going to journal on it. I'm going to call this layout done. I have to say, I absolutely love how this turned out. Love, love, love it. It is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm so glad I was able to document this. All right, everybody, I do hope you are enjoying this series as much as we are. Be sure to check out the ladies. I will leave their links below. Definitely go check them out. And if you are new to my channel, I do hope you consider subscribing is what I'm trying to spit out. I really do hope that you consider subscribing. All right, you all have an amazing day. Bye.